Hello everyone, and welcome to the Narcissistic Abuse and Recovery Care Network. I'm Dean, your host, and I'll be taking you on a journey through narcissism and understanding the narcissist. So I'm going to be presenting right now episode 17, part 2. This is part 2 of an episode I just did on explaining some of the basics of a narcissist of lower level, mid-level, and ultra-level, and how those narcissists actually behave within the confines of their narcissism. So part 2 of this episode, 17, is actually going to be an explanation on Dissociative Identity Disorder narcissists. Now, this is slightly different because individuals who are narcissists who suffer from Dissociative Identity Disorder, they are in a separate category, really, I would say, from the research I've been doing over the past number of weeks, as far as the way they behave as narcissists. Because Dissociative Identity Disorder individuals have a strange thing that happens with them that is distinctively different than bipolar disorder sufferers or bipolar personality disorder sufferers who may be narcissists as well. D.I.D sufferers have tendencies within the realms of their disorders to have multiple personalities, and these multiple personalities exist in a different way than multiple personalities do in some schizoaffective disorders. These personalities can exist in these individuals separately, but in the same state of consciousness that those individuals are actively in. And that's to say that that person can have a primary personality, and they can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other secondary personalities who are all existing with them in their conscious state all at the same time. Basically, this is like having 5 completely separate personalities in a person, all standing in a line up front, but just one personality steps forward, and that's the personality that you're dealing with. Now, predominantly, that personality is usually the person's main personality, but very often it can be a secondary personality that comes to the forefront. And these secondary personalities can step to the forefront for a few minutes, for a few hours, sometimes for days, or even weeks at a time. And this is, from my research and understanding, one of the things that can go on with Dissociative Identity Disorder narcissists is that when you're dealing with narcissists and they're subjecting you to narcissistic abuse, you may be being abused by, if not the main personality that this narcissist has, possibly by a secondary personality. And that personality can be dealing with you in a very narcissistic way. And when that personality that narcissist is putting forward switches back to their main personality or another personality, they will actually have no memory at all, because D.I.D sufferers suffer from amnesia. When they go from personality to personality, that main personality or the secondary personality, it does not remember what that person did while they were in that personality. The brain literally systematically stores no memories of this, so they can't even remember what it was they were doing or if they were dealing with you. And I think for myself, examining my recent narcissist behavior with me, and examining all the specifics behind Dissociative Identity Disorder like this, I have come to the conclusion that I'm pretty sure that my narcissist suffered from this disorder, and not from bipolar disorder, which she was or has been currently being treated for, because Dissociative Identity Disorder is so commonly misdiagnosed as bipolar personality disorder, even though it is not bipolar personality disorder. It is something completely separate from that, with a separate group of specifics that come to the forefront within that disorder. So for myself, I believe that my narcissist is actually suffering from Dissociative Identity Disorder, based on research I've done on myself upon her, and based on my experience with her over the past 4 years, and what I've come to recognize as bipolar disorder through studying psychology when I was younger. I'm very aware of bipolar personality disorder and what the traits of that are, and I'm now aware of dissociative identity disorder and what those traits are and how they present in individuals. So when you're dealing with narcissists who are suffering from D.I.D disorder, very often those narcissists may be abusing you and subjecting you to whatever goes on with them, and they may actually not be aware at all of what they're doing, unlike regular narcissists who may be aware but not recognize what they're doing if they're mid-range level, or they may be completely unaware if they're just lower level regular narcissists that may suffer from bipolar disorder. So it's a completely different classification here, and the two do overlap quite a bit within the parameters of bipolar disorder and within dissociative identity disorder, but they are two distinctive things. And I just wanted to make a note in part 2 of episode 17 here, that if you are dealing with a dissociative identity disorder narcissist, that narcissist may actually really have no idea of any of the stuff they've done with you. This, I know for me, came to the forefront in my research when I realized that other people my narcissists were dealing with, she was telling me that she had no recollection of things she did with these people, even though I have court-provable proof that she was involved with these people at the same time as me, and she was involved in intimate relationships with these individuals at the same time as me, but is claiming she has no memory of this. She may very well have no memory of this because she suffers from dissociative identity disorder. Now, dissociative identity disorder is a very, very new condition. It's only come to be diagnosed in about the last 10 years in psychology. So a lot of psychologists don't know how to deal with it. A lot of psychologists don't even know how to treat it. It's that new and that different to deal with. And of course, like I was saying before, it's very easily misdiagnosed as bipolar personality disorder, even though it is not that. So you may be dealing, if you're dealing with a narcissist, you may be dealing with a dissociative identity personality disorder person who's basically carrying out narcissistic behavior with you. And if they are, and you notice that they don't seem to be able to remember things that they've done, and there's just like missing information or missing time, or they're just not remembering these things, you could actually also be dealing with a dissociative identity disorder narcissist here. And it's very hard to tell a bipolar disorder narcissist from a dissociative identity narcissist because they are so very much the same in the pathology of these two conditions. So I figured I'd just give you guys a little secondary heads up in part 2 here as to what the dissociative identity narcissist might be, so you can look out for this as well too, and you may notice some things like this commonly within the narcissist you're dealing with, and this may help you to understand or realize what you may be dealing with within the confines of whatever abuse you may be dealing with from your narcissist. So I'm going to bid you all good night. This has been episode 17 part 2, and stay tuned because I've got some other episodes coming up, and one of those other episodes coming up is going to be a whole episode that explains in much more deep detail what dissociative identity disorder actually is. So I'm going to say goodnight to you guys, and stay tuned for the next episodes.